Oh, okay. So it says I'm live. Hello. Wait, cancel that. Still. Okay. Wait. YouTube is picking up something. Good night, my man. There I am. I'm live. Sweet dreams. Okay. All right. Hello, Nancy. Let me know if the audio and video are okay. Because I checked it earlier and it seemed okay. I checked it with a different computer, right? And it seemed all right. I just need to make sure. Good evening, HN says Rusty. Arzu is here. What shirt? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. What t-shirt will he have on today? Indeed. I had this one yesterday. I usually wear them 2 days at a time. 10 out of 10. Little Popeye on the audio? What? Little Popeye? Little Pie? Am I reading it wrong? Or puppy? Popeye? I don't know what. Okay. Who else is here? Robert Harrison was here and now he's here where he was, and I was checking out audio video earlier and he happened to be there as well with his good woman. Okay, so let's see. I'll start with first of all, this I'm using a different camera, right? I'm using my the same camera, different setup. I'm using StreamYard for the first time since I got kicked out of YouTube 3 years ago because of something that happened on StreamYard, which I hope won't happen again. But I've learned my lesson, hopefully, and should something undesirable happen, I will immediately end the stream and delete the video and just start a new stream. Hopefully that won't happen. But what happened the first and only time that I ever did this, where you could click the link and join with your mic and cam, I was kicked out a day later. I did a live stream, 4 hours. I had different people. I had like 5 different people here or something. There was a Christian and a Muslim and myself and a Hindu guy. And then a day later I wake up the following morning and my channel was deleted because of something that happened in the live stream because I let someone in on the camera when I shouldn't have. Okay, let's see. So Sneezer says, it's hard to understand love in fragments. Look at everything and you will see it in anything. That's a lovely way to put it. Rav Kook, in The Lights of Returning, in Orot HaTshuvah, The Lights of Repentance, he talks about that greater view, that longer scope. If you widen the time frame, it has to do with perspective. How do you view yourself? How do you view your past? What is it that you see for your future? He said if you widen the time frame enough, and you are interested, let's say, in seeing the world in that way, not in the sense of you're insignificant, but in the sense of Tshuva, what you are doing is the important thing, and the things that you did wrong in the past, even though they did happen, it can all level out. And he continues in different places and says that not only will they level out, but the transgressions will become merits. Okay, so we have Jacob the Yehudi is here. Okay, let's see if we can do this. We're adding someone over here.
Hello, Yochanan. How are you?
Hi there. How you doing, Jacob?
Nice to actually meet you.
Indeed, and you, digitally speaking. All right, let's see if I can make this a bit louder in my earbuds. Hold on. Okay, that's better. So if things are a bit choppy, shaky, I don't know what, because it's the first time I'm doing this.
Yes, it's doing it on your stream as well, so it's got to be something to do with where you are.
No. I don't mean choppy technically. I mean with the rate of refresh and the stream. I mean with me and the console here. Hey, okay, so Robert Harrison is here. Let's bring him on.
What's up, Jonathan?
Hello. Still on the road, I see.
Yeah, still on the road.
How long do you have to go?
Oh, it's raining here, so it's an off day for me. So I'm helping my woman out today. So probably a couple more hours
of driving.
Yeah, we do a
Okay,
delivery
but you know
service
what?
on our. We do a delivery
You're
service
delivering
for
what?
deliver groceries for people.
That's nice. You get around. So focus on the driving, Paula. Eyes on the road.
Can I ask you some questions?
Yeah, definitely. And then maybe we'll get to Orot HaTshuvah. But wait, first, or maybe we'll start with no. You know what? I'm doing this. Let's go with this. But I do also want to get to Orot HaTshuvah. So okay, Blood Nose. Okay. Hey, how you doing, man? Okay. So the audio is nowhere near as good as before. Maybe it's using a different mic. It is. It's using the earbuds. So I should get rid of the earbuds. I should get rid of the earbuds then and go with the
That's
audio
clear. Your
from
earbuds making it clearer.
my earbuds make it clearer. All right, so we're getting conflicting things here. But okay, I guess we'll keep it for now. Sorry, Blood Nose. I'm using a different mic, but it's a good mic. It's Sony earbuds.
Well, I wanted to ask you about this idea of teshuvah, right, and what it truly means. Like in the sense of some people, like you get the Christians, they believe that you have to keep repenting. Where, as my rabbi said, we do teshuvah, we fully turn. It's a different person. It's not the same person. You're totally changed, right? Because if we keep doing teshuvah, we haven't really turned in that sense. Does that make sense?
It makes sense in the sense of doing the same thing, and I don't
really
know if
turning.
it's a different process. Tshuva is something that is a lifelong thing. Just like Rav Kook says in his introduction to the book, he says on the one hand, it's a very easy commandment or way, since even the contemplation, a hirhur tshuva, is already tshuva. On the other hand, tshuva has not yet in this life been implemented fully 100%. Now, Christians will disagree, I know. But we're talking about what Rav Kook says.
Right.
And so it's always that duality. Now, to make tshuva, listen, Rambam, okay? Classic halachic Rambam in Hilchot Tshuva. If I'm not mistaken, it's him. Don't quote me on it, but I'm going to try and paraphrase his quote. And he says, tshuva occurs, like in truth, when even the Most High God can be a witness that you will not return to your former path, be it in a certain action, a way of life, and whatever it may be, from the macro to the micro of the way that you conceptualize yourself. What is it you want to return from? Where is it you want to return to? Taking all of that into account, on the one hand, doing the same thing as in repenting, making tshuva is necessary because there's always more. The ideal keeps getting further and further away. The more you elevate yourself, the more, and the world, the higher and wider is your view, the longer your thoughts. And then it's a higher peak, right? And then it's the next thing. And we, in the image of God, have that limitless, let's say,
But aren't
capacity
we
that
meant
is
to
part of tshuva.
hire ourselves? Aren't we meant to be? Remember, we're meant to be the light, the lampstand, right, to the nations, and our light is through our eyes. So aren't we meant to be higher? Like us Jews are held to a higher standard than anybody else because we know the law, right? If we know the law, we're more accountable, right?
Yes.
So
I mean,
we
held
have
to a
to.
higher standard, held to a higher standard. I mean, practically, it seems that that's the case. Yes, go on.
So when it says, when people say, so this comes to the point of where why we do what we do, because again, the word lahit palel means what? What's the English derogation? It means to pray, right?
Yes,
But
that's what it means. I mean,
but I don't see it as what the Europeans, because pray comes from the Greek. It means to beg. It means to literally beg. And we're not meant to beg God. We're not meant to be on our knees. We're not meant to grovel.
yes.
So we have we're meant to be different, because it says in their books that they have to get on knees, pray, don't stop ceasing to pray, and all this stuff. But yet we're told in Tanakh that we're more loved. What does it say in Isaiah 60,
Wait, your audio is
66? His audio stopped, isn't it?
okay.
I can hear you.
I think my internet's having trouble now, unfortunately. Okay, can you hear me? Is it all good?
Yeah.
Wait, he muted his mic. Okay, well, he muted his mic. Jacob,
Hello.
it was cut off. I think I don't know why, but it was cut off when, well, I was cut off when I heard you say that the origin over there is to beg.
Yeah, like the Greek origin of the word beg. Pray is to beg, but we shouldn't. I don't believe we should beg God for anything. I believe if we're faithful to the Lord, we will get what we deserve, and God says that's our inheritance, because from Abraham we are indebted. God is indebted to us, not in the sense of how I mean it. Like he can't break his promises with Abraham, right?
Sure.
And he says, your people will be highly exalted among all forever, right? Olam, or Miolam, I think it is. So we see this. We're different at every stage. Even their Messiah had to be Jewish. So it ceases that we are different, right? They in the New Testament, it goes, do not give what's holy and give it to the dogs. Matthew 15, where it says, it's not right that I give the bread of the children and toss it to dogs. And she goes, well, isn't it right that the dogs eat from our master's tables, and so on and so forth? And then it says, it parallels Proverbs. You know, in Proverbs where it says, if you come to God and then you still sin, it was better. It's worse off for you. For if you go back, you're in a worse. And it quotes Proverbs saying, a dog will always return to its own vomit. Do you know that verse in Proverbs?
I do.
So it's always saying these Gentiles are dogs, even in the New Testament. So we're meant to be different, right?
Well, I don't see it that way personally, but I understand how you could read that from those different verses. I think differently personally, which is also why I might differ in how I view tshuva. I mean, definitely go with what your rabbi says. He's your rabbi, and I'm no rabbi at all. So go with him. And at the same time, you know, both opinions and ways of thinking can exist at the same time. Much like three of us here exist on the. Okay, we have. Wait. So, but wait, yes.
Did Samson experience tshuva right before he passed away? When he asked the Lord, "Do you remember me?"
I'm inclined to think yes, from the way that it's phrased.
But what way are you reading it from, for it to be phrased like that?
What do you mean with Zochrenina v'chazkenina?
No, like in the sense, like if you read it in the Hebrew, you're not going to get a different understanding, right? But if say for instance there's someone that's come on air and they're listening and they're saying, where are you pulling that from? And you got to understand, most people can't read or understand Hebrew, right? So they use translations,
I know
right?
that.
So they're going to get an alternative view. That's why it's better to learn Hebrew. Now I'm still learning. I'm not fully fluent. I can read a lot of it, but not too much. But I'm not like what you think. Like I'm an ethnic Jew. My father was Jewish. My mother was Jewish. My last name's Radai, who's mentioned in First Chronicles 2:14. We're related to King David, is our ancestors. We've been taught this. My dad, he's even though he was born in Hungary, he comes from Iraq. So he's Mizrahim. My mum's Ashkenazi, right? Which, you know, Mizrahim means Egypt, so it's like a similar look, Middle Eastern, basically. So that's why I'm getting a different collective, and I left it. I wasn't really. I was very secular. I was secular, so I got a different view to everyone else, and I'm still on the journey. So I'm listening to you as well.
I hear you. And again, there's no. I mean, I speak what I speak, and nobody needs to listen to it or follow it or attribute any meaning to it. And so, like I said, go with your rabbi. And I have a different view of things growing up modern Orthodox in Jerusalem. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We all have
that.
different views. But you have a good view. That's why I'm listening. That's why I joined, because you say some good stuff.
I appreciate
you
it,
in the
man.
process?
It's usually not me. It's usually me regurgitating those who are wiser.
Are you in the process right now of Tshuva,
What
Jonathan?
was that?
Are you in the process of Tshuva right now?
I am, especially with the month of Elul, which precedes Rosh Hashanah, the Day of Judgment, the New Year, and Yom Kippur, 10 days later. And for this reason, exactly, Rav Kook himself would be studying this very book that I'm about to read from during these months, during the 6th month, the month of Elul. And I think that even if I'm not yet, I am definitely in the process of tshuva, and with hitbodedut, thank God, I get to feel that I always am, because I'm always seeking and never turning a blind eye to my faults and shortcomings, which keeps me from well, again, that danger of comfort and solace where you stay there but you don't do anything actionable to extricate yourself or to help yourself out. So I think, yes, I think I am in the process of tshuva. I think I've been in the process of tshuva all my life, sometimes more consciously than others. But practically speaking, the house I grew up in, the schools that I went to, certainly later with yeshiva and the army and married life after that, it's all one huge process of figuring out who I am and what it is that I'm supposed to be doing in this world. And that's tshuva, right? Coupled with obviously my way, the way of my father's Torah and commandments and the Hebrew covenant. I've always been in a process of tshuva. I'd like to think I always will be, God willing.
I got one more question about Rosh Hashanah coming up. What do the Hebrews in Israel celebrate, knowing that Moses said the New Year is right before Pesach?
The Day of Judgment, the Day of the Horn, Yom Teruah.
Yeah.
The original New Year is the 1st of Nisan, as it says in the Hebrew Bible, right, in the Hebrew Torah. And then our sages said that the Day of Judgment, Yom Hadin, Yom Teruah, the 1st of Tishrei, the 1st of the 7th month, that will be the new. There are 4 New Years in the Orthodox, in the Mishnah. 4 New Years: the 1st of Elul, the 1st of Tishrei, the 1st of Nisan, and the 15th, or some say the 1st of Shvat. And each one of those New Years, there are 4 of them, and each one of them corresponds, well, again, 4 with the 4 elements, the 4-letter name of God, the 4 seasons, and all of that. But it's 4 different New Years. Each one is for different things.
The one in Elul is celebrated the most in Israel.
No, Tishrei.
Tishrei,
the 7th month biblically. Yes, it's Rosh Hashanah and it's Yom Hadin, and the other ones are celebrated less so. The 15th of the 15th of Shvat, which is the tree's New Year, meaning if you planted something a month earlier and Shvat came around, it's now beginning its 2nd year, even though it's only been a month. And this has to do with when you take the first fruit, and this has to do with what is allowed or not allowed in regards to giving to the temple first and all of that. So the New Year of the tree is celebrated widely, and the New Year of the year is celebrated widely. The other 2, not as much.
Right. But it's weird, right?
Okay,
because the calendar year is different to ours, like in the sense of it starts in October, right? Ours does, because if you think Sukkot's in a minute, right? Or it might be in mid-October, right? It might be September, mid-October, right?
Yeah.
It depends.
Yeah, in a month.
Right. But then there's also this it's weird because it's different to a Western calendar, right? It's totally backwards to a Western calendar, so it's hard for people to understand. It's very, even I struggle with it sometimes. You obviously better with it because you were born in Israel and you were probably more ingrained into it. As I'm more English, I would class myself more English because I was raised kind of secular, kind of. But the point is that it's so much. But for you, because you have the knowledge, you have to break it down for us in the sense of you have a higher standard of scripture than we do, right?
I suppose simply because, by virtue of speaking Hebrew,
right.
I have, I think, a great leg up to those who don't, sure.
Right. and I wanted to get your take on this as well. And this might be a bit off topic, but
all good. All topics are on topic.
What do you think of cannabis?
I am a fan, but like anything, it needs to be done with respect to the plant, in a measure, and in a way where it's elevating you instead of harming you, turning you into a liar, psychologically addicting you, and you turning, if you misuse the plant, it will misuse you.
Right.
If you abuse something, it will abuse you right back in that sense. And I believe that the cannabis was one of the 11 samimanim of the Ktoret, of the incense, though that's disputed. And there have been traces of cannabis with active THC, if you will, not hemp, found in altars, I think plural. Right. Correct. So I'm a big fan of herb. I partake myself. I don't overdo it, and I think it's a wonderful way to get closer to yourself and to others. But like any mind-revealing, soul-revealing bonding experience, the majority of your such experiences, I believe, should be non-substance induced. And anything, things along the lines of cannabis and other psychoactive things, they have their place, not for everybody, but set and setting are paramount.
Right.
But yes, I think that it's a wonderful medicinal plant that was put here for our usage, and it can be a sacrament. It could be a truly sacred thing in the sense that we set this plant apart in such a way. And I smoke, in certain times with certain people. I don't walk around high all day, and it's been a great thing in my life, on and off. I take tolerance breaks every now and then, and my tolerance is relatively low. So yeah, I'm a fan.
Mine's so high. I smoke about 8 grams a day.
Wow.
Never done that.
Would you say
Speaking of 8 grams a day?
As long as you don't become codependent, you see it's all right.
Well, I have become, my rabbi's like that. Yaakov, you stoner, because he's French. He has a French accent, and it's just he's like, you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. But one of my Jewish friends, and I mean Jewish in the sense of Israeli, not like he's in ethnically Jewish, but Israeli. Mm-hmm. He says there's a blessing which actually says we can. Now I forgot what it is. You might know it, but there's a blessing that says we can smoke.
It's not smoke
cannabis in a sense, but.
Do you mean the blessing for the herbs?
Yeah.
Boreatse besamim or boremine besamim?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. There were times when I used to say that. Go on.
I would say, for me, if the temple existed in Jerusalem right now, could you walk in the temple and smoke herb? Would that be allowed?
You could burn it. I don't know if you smoke it in a roll up, but you know what I mean. You probably burn it in like a metal burner thing, right?
Well, are we assuming in this scenario that you are ritually pure and can arrive at the gates of the temple without defiling it?
Right. Assuming that, yeah.
Okay. In that case,
and where I'm getting at is if you can't do it in the temple, then if it's not right to do it in the temple, then why do it out here in the world? Not that I'm saying anybody's wrong for doing it. That's just how I measure myself up with it.
I hear you. I mean, I wouldn't know what you can do or not do in the temple. There is Kvod HaMikdash, right? The idea of honoring the temple. It could very well be that maybe you wouldn't be able to walk in there and roll up a joint and sit next to across from the Levitical choir and blaze it away. But I think perhaps if there was a lishka, a kind of a room, like a smoker's room, dedicated to it in the sense of that it's an area, or maybe outside, right, where you would be a group of people and much like the Rasta reasoning, as it's called, right, sitting in a circle and talking Torah, giving praise. I'm not sure how it would come about. I'm not sure how it would go. I know that the ritual worship in the temple was, as I've said, very precise, very, let's say, surgical in its effects, and the different things have different purpose, and they all come together in order to bring about this unity of the masculine and feminine divine presence in the world. And so I wouldn't know. If it's considered something that's contemptuous, then that would be a no. If it's considered something that is positive and is held sacred in the greater sense, then I would say yes. Maybe not, I don't know, maybe not, as I said, walk in there and roll one and start puffing away, and maybe exactly like that. I have no idea. Never have I ever been to the temple.
Right.
And
So I don't
more
know.
question. One more
Have you ever
question
been to Temple Mount?
No, and I don't go to the Kotel too much. It's too sad. It saddens me. It saddens me to go there.
Is Jerusalem in Palestine?
No.
Define Palestine.
Well, what we've gave to them, because don't they have Jerusalem? They have the.
They got
have
East
a
Jerusalem.
part of it, don't they? The Temple Mount.
Oh, well, let's put it this way. The security control is the IDF and the local police. Spiritual and religious control was handed over to the Jordanian Waqf shortly after the Temple Mount was retaken in the 1967 war.
Right.
Now, as for Jerusalem, Ehud Barak or Olmert, and I mentioned this a few times recently because of the nature of the chat recently, he offered Arafat a capital of a Palestinian state in East Jerusalem, and he refused to accept it.
Right.
Among other things that he offered, and he refused to accept it. And as of now, the jurisdiction in East Jerusalem, by and large, other than a few disputed areas, is Israel, the IDF, police, and the local authorities, as far as I know. But there are a few places that are disputed, unless I'm mistaken. Other than that, Jerusalem, East Jerusalem, by and large, is a lot more Muslim and Christian.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
But it should be ours.
But
I believe the land
it's
is all
still,
ours.
but it's still, the land belongs to God. That's what I'm saying. We need to get along in
It
peace.
doesn't, though, does it? It belongs to us because
What's
it's
that?
our inheritance.
Yes, we inherited it on the basis of keeping the covenant between Adonai and Israel. And we've seen in the past that when we have been lacking and wanting, we've been kicked out of that land. Ergo, it's not ours. It's not truly yours if someone can kick you out, right? Or rather, someone. It's not ours in the sense of that we own it. It's our inheritance. And it's contingent on keeping the law of the land according to Torah and as is laid out in the prophets.
Right.
I heard the
That's how
land
I see
itself.
it, because
I heard the land itself will spew you out if you're not righteous.
No.
Yes, vomit you out.
Do you reckon it will?
What do you mean?
No. There's sodomy and all sorts going on in Israel. Lots of it.
Wait, I didn't catch that. What?
There's lots of like
I didn't catch
the rainbow stuff going on in Israel right now.
Yeah, it's one of the more gay-friendly areas, particularly Tel Aviv.
And that is like that's like spitting in God's face. You know?
I don't agree. I mean, I agree that certain ideologies are not okay, but I think that there's an attempt here to be inclusive, and some would say that it's to their detriment and to a fault.
Right.
But there's the part of me that understands that most of the people of Israel at this time are not religious. Most of them are secular. This is a Jewish democratic state, not a theocratic state, but with a Jewish identity, and that brings about all kinds of shenanigans and mixes. And
but they're not really,
we're liberal, we're conservative.
They're not really ethnic Israel in the sense of a lot of the people that are moved from other places. Now, I could say some people could have Jewish ancestry, but a lot of them aren't even of that ethnicity that live there, right? There's lots of Koreans that go out converting all the time and so on and so forth. And
I have no idea who's converting. I don't know the stats and the numbers on who's been converting.
Do you know Tovia?
I have no idea who's been. Rabbi Tovia Singer?
Yeah. He was out on the streets of Jerusalem, and he had these Asian Koreans coming over trying to convert people.
Oh, them people there.
No doubt.
Them Asians, if they're trying to convert to Christianity, they're doing it in a totally wrong way. I've watched their videos. You're supposed to convert somebody with love if you're coming from a Christian point of view, and they seem like they're really perverting the way of Yeshua.
What are you, Christian?
Yeah.
You're a Christian. Are you Jewish?
Nope. Not,
No.
I haven't done the DNA test, but a lot of people say I look it.
Well, I would say that Christianity is kind of it's dangerous in the sense if you don't truly understand it. If you use Jesus, if you see Jesus as God, that's idolatry, right? And the first commandment, lo, yeah, Elohim Akarim Apona, right? There should be no other God on my face or before me, right? So it's putting a
That's
man
the second
as a
commandment,
God,
yes.
right? So putting God, a man as God is idolatry at its finest, right? And then we have to come to this. Remember, it says in the New Testament that they started worshiping the staff of Moses more than God himself, right? The serpent on the stick, and that's what the Christians are doing with the cross. Because Jeremiah 10, what does it say? You should know Jeremiah 10, Yochanan.
What was that?
You should know Jeremiah 10, right? Where it says, shouldn't carve no Christmas.
I'm sure I'd know it if I read it offhand.
Oh, I would say true Christians don't worship the actual cross. We worship the one who was on the cross.
Yeah, but
who
you
we
shouldn't
see in
worship
our
him.
eyes.
That's idolatry.
If he was in our eyes, if he was just a regular, normal human being, but we look at him as God in the flesh, like that appeared in the Old Testament and the Torah that spoke to Abraham. God appeared in
It doesn't
flesh.
say that though.
Right before God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, he appeared to Abraham and Sarai with two other people, a messenger.
Yeah, but what was it? An angel? Was it a messenger?
It was two messengers and God,
Right, so
who
it wasn't
prophesied.
God. Because remember, no one could see God and live. What did God have over his face when it was either Abraham or Moses who seen him? He had a veil because no one could see him and live, right?
God in the spirit, God the Father, no man can see him. And
Right,
never,
but there's
ever.
only one God. There's not God the Spirit, God the Father, God the Man. There's only one. Remember, what Zekru risen out, Miolam ki, Anoki El, Wain Awud Elachim. Remember former things of old, for I am God and there is no other. Numbers 23:19. I am God that I should not lie. I am not Son of Man that I should repent. Right? Son of Man is a messianic term for the Messiah. So he's distinctly saying, look, I'm not going to be the Messiah. Don't get me twisted. Like, because why would God need to wait 3,000 years to come as a man? That's saying God's not all omnipotent and he has to become, if he has to become his creation, he's not God because that means he's not perfect.
Well, it's prophesied in the Tanakh that that the Messiah would come during the destruction of the second temple.
The Messiah, but not God. The Messiah is not God. HaMashiach is not God, right? You know Ben David and Ben Yosef, right? Ben Yosef comes in on a donkey, right? And then Ben David will come in on the cloud as a warrior, right? You know this, right?
Right.
And this is the two messiahs. If you don't have them messiahs, you don't have Messiah because the Jews have the real Messiah, not no Greeks, not no Spanish, not no French, nothing. It all comes. Salvation is from the Jews. It says it.
No, you're right. Salvation is from the Jews. But in Zechariah 12 verse 6, God says that Israel will look upon him whom they pierced. It said, I will pour out.
No, because it doesn't say that. I think there's translational issues for. So, if you go to certain passages, it say these lions gnawing at my hands and feet, but it also says it doesn't say the ones who pierced my hands and feet. It says lions gnawing at my hands and feet. Now, who are the lions, and why are they gnawing at his hands and feet? So you see, there's slight nuances. And Yochanan should agree with this. Isaiah 53:8 blows it out the water. Mi pesha ami nega lamo. What does lamo mean? Does it mean? Isn't it plural? It means they.
To them, yes, to them.
Right. So in Isaiah 53, Jesus isn't the suffering servant. It's Israel. Up here. So you see, because of translations that you have, not by your own fault, but by men trying to mislead you, you've come to the conclusion that Jesus is God, which ultimately it's like worthless. You have no salvation because, and I'm not doing this in a horrible way, I'm trying to show you that there is still a chance for you to even be a Noahide, whatever you want to be, but just don't be a Christian. But the point is, Jesus he could be the Son of God, he could be, but you'd have to understand what Son of God means. It doesn't mean no literal son of God. It would mean just someone who acknowledges, like Israel, my firstborn, Ephraim. There's many, Jacob. There's so many, right, that are called sons of God, and the context is key, right? That's what I'm saying now. I'll yield because I've spoken too much, and it's John's
What do
show.
you say? What do you say, Jacob, in Isaiah 9, where it says a woman shall conceive and give birth?
Well,
And
if we go to Isaiah 7,
the child will be called Mighty God.
Yeah, but Jesus wasn't called Mighty God, was he? He was called Jesus. So that blows him out the water anyway there. But if we go to Isaiah 7:14, where it took, right, so can we bring it up? Because someone bring up Isaiah 7:14 and we read it, and then we go to Isaiah 8. So the prophecy in Isaiah 7 is literally fulfilled in the next book. So when it's talking about Isaiah 9, it's all in context. It's not a forecoming. This child's not going to be called God. It's talking about Hezekiah. Remember when the two kings, the two in that right, Yochanan, the two kings surrounded him, and they named the baby Emmanuel, because he's saying God is with us. Now he's not calling them the baby Emmanuel. He's just saying God is with us when he's got the child, which is, you have to look at it properly.
All right, last question before I get off here. What do you say about Proverbs 30 verse 4, Jacob?
Read it out to me, brother.
I don't have a Bible in front of me right now, but it's who has descended, who has ascended, who can take the waters of the world and capture them in a cloak? What is his name? What is the name of his son?
Yes, mi madad b'mayim sha'olo. Yes.
And the stuff,
I remember it.
The stuff, Jacob, in the first part of Proverbs 34, you can read it yourself. Only God can ascend to heaven or descend. Only God can capture the wind in his fist. Only God can take all the waters in the world and put them in a cloak. What is his name and what is the name of his son?
Yeah, but did Moses split water? Did Moses part the waters?
Through the power of God, not Moses on his own.
Hang on, didn't Enoch, didn't Noah, what was Noah called? Righteous and blameless in his generations, right? Zedek. So we know that's not true. So if we actually read, there's many people that's been sinless and blameless. There's men, and this is context again, because you have a Christian view. You have to understand you're using Greek culture to try and understand a Jewish identity.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. You would have to understand.
Moses wasn't sinless and blameless. If you remember,
Moses was banished. He didn't get to enter, did he?
God was going to kill him for not circumcising his sons.
Yeah, but Moses was still a good man. I would say he's more holy than probably 99% of people on the planet. But the point is that we know that it's hard, but we've been stigmatized. Jews have always been stigmatized. We've always suffered Holocausts, Inquisitions, Islamic tyranny, Egyptians, just loads, right? The Philistina, so on and so forth. So we know that we suffer, and this is another way of suffering by perverting God's what would you call it? What's the best word for it, John?
What
God says. What would you say? What comes out of God's mouth? What is it? Is it Torah? Law?
Well, wait. This is where, and this is why I stay out of debates altogether, exactly like the type you two are having, and no shade nor judgment. But this is exactly it, because I'm saying what I've always said, which is I don't know God. All I know is revelations of God. And when there is a revelation of speech, I know it pertains to lips, mouth, tongue, 5 different ways in which our voice box, let's say, is activated, and the words that come out. And I know that it's all revelation. I know that it's not any of it God ever, not once, because that's unfathomable, unthinkable, unknowable. And all of these words that we are all using, and all of the words that were ever written down, and all the words that are ever whispered from master to apprentice, even the deepest secrets of Kabbalah that have not been ever written down, all the way to the Torah that's in every store, or the Bible that's in every drawer in the hotel in the US. It's all divine revelation, and it's not God. It's how God reveals himself to me. And that makes all of the difference.
Could God be in you? Could you have the Ruach HaKodesh?
Ruach HaKodesh itself is not God. It's a revelation. That's what I'm saying. I don't know God. Never have I ever known God.
Yeah, but I thought God, because God is spirit, right? And if there is this Ruach HaKodesh, which just means mighty spirit or Holy Spirit, right? it has to be synonymous, right? Because if God is spirit,
no, that's what I'm saying. God is, if you can conceptualize it, it is not God. If you can think of it, it is not God. If you can state it verbally or through art or dance or painting, whatever song, it's not God. That's what I'm saying. God is that which you cannot conceive. That God is that. It's everything that is outside of what is humanly possible.
Right.
And in that sense, everything that's ever been written down, all the different names, like I said, from the deepest secrets that haven't even been written down ever, to the Bible that's to the Hebrew part, let's say, of the Gideon's Bible that's in every drawer in hotels or whatever. It's all revelation of God. And so that's why I also don't get into these debates. That's precisely why. And I'm not saying you shouldn't, but the fact that you're in North Carolina, you're in the UK, presumably, right? You're English, and me in Israel, and I can see how the fact that you're Jewish right now in the diaspora, and the fact that you're a Christian in the US, and the back and forth, and you're both saying you're perverting it. No, you're perverting it. You're not saying it judgmentally, and you're trying to give verses to buttress your claims, and you're both giving great verses, and making good claims. For the Hebrew person, he's dead, and that's that. And for the Christian person, yes, but he rose again. And that's where the Jesus thing lies anyway. And because Christians see Jesus in everything. He is the Alpha and the Omega. He was there before creation. He will be there after creation is null and void and only God exists. And we, according to Torah, think differently. And so you're not going to see eye to eye on this issue, no matter how many verses you bring into the fold. And I have been just checking out the debate, and I'm thinking to myself, it's not that he's right and he's wrong or vice versa. It's simply that you have your way and you have yours. And both of you have an intimate knowledge of God in the sense that to the degree that you do in the scriptures that you each brought. And
Jacob's still my buddy, though.
For me, it's of course no. There's no animosity between you. It's a dialogue and a fruitful one, and I hope it will be beneficial. Iron sharpens iron, right? But I'm just sitting here, sort of looking at it from the outside, somewhat ironically, because it's here, and I'm thinking to myself, it's interesting. I don't feel like I would have what to add other than what I said. It's like that's where it starts and ends for me.
Turn left.
Jonathan, before I get off here, I'm gonna get off. But what makes the Nazarite, in your opinion, holy? Is it the withstanding, sacrificing oneself from all that, or is it the Nazarite's heart wanting to get closer to God?
Well, there's no reason given. It's simply, as you know, it simply says those who want to partake of this vow, and here's how it's done. But there's no reason given. I think the Nazarite is separated because they are deciding for a time or for life to dedicate themselves in a way that they haven't before. And in that specific way, with those specific prohibitions, it has the potential to open up a greater spiritual channel, let's say. And I think that's why. I think that's why. And I mean, it's the practical things. You set yourself apart, the wine, the grapes, and the hair, and defilement of death, if you go with the biblical one, with the Mosaic one in Numbers. What makes a Nazarite holy is the vow. The vow makes them holy.
So is it like and forgive me for my bluntness, I don't mean to insult you what I'm about to say, but is it more of like a free thinking, like not a hippie, but like gentrified kind of, it's more of a spiritual kind of thing? Is that what it is?
Oh no, it's exceedingly physical and practical. It affects, everything from how I look to my diet to wanting to align myself more with the living and with sanctifying life. And in that sense, it runs the gamut from crown to kingdom, from the highest spirituality to the lowest of, it's like the hair itself is the crown because it grows from inside, from within, right? The roots are from within all the way down, as low as it can get. And it goes the entire way down the center, from the highest highs to the lowest lows, which is also why Samson, the Nazarite, he was somebody who went after his eyes. And it's something which some people would say, what? He went after his eyes and he married some, some foreigner. Yes, from the highest high to the lowest low, the Nazarite-ship is there. That's the way I see it. And as for a hippie, I am hippie in the sense that I'm, hip to be aware. I try to be a little bit more aware, and I aim to make myself more aware. So in that sense, definitely a hippie.
Like, like love and peace and all that, holding hands, kumbaya stuff.
I'm definitely into the love and peace and holding hands and kumbaya. Though I've never. Right? What was that?
Jesus was what you are.
Are you asking if Jesus was a Nazarite? I have no idea. There's the opinion that he was a Nazarite.
Well, they call him Jesus the Nazarite, right? The Nazarene.
No, he's known as Yeshua of Nazrat, HaNotzri, not HaNazir. The Tzadi and the Zayin are different. One is of Nazareth, and the other is Nazarite.
Jonathan, you was the first one I ever heard give me the idea of Yeshua being a Nazir, because you said he took the vow on the cross about abstaining from wine till he enters the kingdom. I never heard that till you gave me that idea maybe 2-3 years ago.
No, I was told that by, at least at the time when I was discussing the Nazarite vow with somebody who followed Jesus. I mean, and I think that's where, I think I was, what was I talking about? Right, it's Leila Seder, right? It's the night of the Seder, and they have the sacrificial offering, and then he speaks there. Yes, and if there was, what I said was, if there was a point where he took the vow, that might be it. That's what I said. If there was a point where he took it, that's when it would have been, when I think it's when I was reading. I think it's when I was reading it, or maybe not. Maybe it was before.
Do you believe Jesus existed?
Yeah, wait, before it's too late, because I'm
heading out.
I'm not. Hey, good to have you, man.
They love you, man.
Thanks for being here. I believe that it doesn't matter to me, but I mean, yeah, why not? He definitely could have. Yeah, he definitely could have, as much as he wouldn't exist. He could have existed. Yeah.
Yeah, but as a Jew, it's massive to you, right?
As a Jew, what do you mean?
Because if he is our savior, and like, say he is our savior, say he is the Hamashiach, right? Just
but he's dead.
If he is,
if he was, then he is a dead Messiah, and we don't follow dead kings. We follow the living.
Yeah, but Isaiah's dead.
What's that? Yes, we follow Isaiah's we follow their teachings. We don't follow them. We don't crown them. We don't pray in their name. We don't elevate them beyond what they were. They were men and women, prophets who died, and we, the sages, canonized some of their prophecies, and so we have it here. That's it.
But there's more to it than that, see? Because I see, like, and this is my last bit, because it ties in with what you was talking about, HaTshuvah.
Okay.
Jesus, right? The first Christians weren't Catholics, right? They weren't polytheists. They were monotheists. They thought that Jesus was just the Son of God. He was just the Messiah. He was just a man, right? So that would align, right? So if the Messiah was just a man and they believed he was just a man, doesn't that change things? If he was just a man, he was the Son of God, he died, he was resurrected on the third day, he rose, and he will come back. Like, remember, because Ben Yosef and Ben David, that is mirror images of him, right?
What do you mean? Images of
one
him?
Comes in, if they're not accepted by Israel, one will come in on the donkey, right? I think that's Ben Yosef.
So it's said.
Right.
But that also is something physical that has a spiritual significance. But continue, go on.
So Jesus came in on a donkey, right? Now Ben David will come back on a cloud. Jesus is coming back on a cloud, right? To judge. Ben David is he's not going to be this person.
So say the Christians, yes.
No, but we know as Jews, we know who these messiahs are. We know that there's these messiahs that have to come. That's why a lot of Jews say we're still waiting, they haven't come, and so on and so forth, right? So my point would proceed that he could have been, because again he preached. Now if we follow his, like you said, if we follow his teachings, we're not elevating Jesus, right? If we do not elevate the man and we just see him as a man, but we look at his teachings. Remember, all his teachings were about teshuvah, about repenting, to change, right?
Go on.
So, and he was a Nazarene,
What do you mean?
which even
A change from what? That's what I'm asking you.
So sin from our sinful nature, right?
I'm not following your train of thought.
The transgression in the garden with the serpent.
Wait. Let me see if I see what you're saying is that if you take away the divinity of Jesus and you say that he was just, a sage or a prophet like the rest of them, that changes things?
Yeah.
Yes, it changes it if you take away the divine part of it.
So it changes it because then, remember, if he's not God and he's just a man, but he is who he claimed to be, right? That doesn't it? Because remember when he says, no one comes to the Father but through me. So we cannot truly have God unless we know the Son, the Father and Son, the Abba and the B'nai, right? So there's got to be this connection, right? And remember, there is going to be Ha means the Mashiach, right? Ha means the. So there's going to be the Mashiach. There's going to be just one. And he said, I am he. Wasn't it written in your scriptures that talk about me? For Abraham rejoiced to see my day.
I disagree, because there have been many anointed ones, many over the years. And the fact that they say that there will be an eventual, the fact that they say there will be an eventual Ha-Mashiach, Yeshua didn't comply or live up to any of those things, let's say, which the final anointed one is supposedly meant to bring in to creation. So that's why it makes no difference to me whatsoever. He's, a potential sage, a potential Messiah, a potential prophet, but then he died. That's it. And even if he was resurrected, what was that?
In Tanakh, he's meant to die, right? In Tanakh, he's going to die. It speaks about.
Well, what do you mean? He's not in Tanakh. No, see, I don't see. Listen. As far as I'm concerned, you've heard this previously. All of the prophets, all of the writings, they're all pointing back to the Torah. I don't take them as standalone things. I don't derive. You can use them as a way to buttress, an opinion or a claim and fortify it, and bring evidence and different things and look at this prophet and that prophet. And you can learn things from them, sure, about the nature of the times or the relationship between Adonai and Israel. But to have anything through the prophets or the writings that goes against the Torah would be missing the point, I think, of the prophets and the writings, and B, it would be attributing something to them which does not exist. That's what I think. So if you take that into account, it makes no difference to me. It makes, go on.
But it should, because remember where it says in Zechariah, they ask, what are these wounds between my hands and feet? And he says, I got it from my brethren, my house, right? Remember, it talks about him being a tither of the land. It's a mirror image again. What happened to Jesus? He was crucified, right? It also says.
Let me ask you this: do you consider all of the prophecies in the books of prophets to be taken literally? All of them?
Well,
I'll ask you. Wait, think about. I'll ask you. Wait. I'll ask you another one. Rather, do you believe that everything that everything that is written literally actually happened, or was it in their mind's eye?
Well, I believe, and we know that each verse, it has two meanings. There's a physical meaning, a spiritual meaning, and a metaphorical meaning. So you could derive from one verse three meanings. One that could be spiritual, one that could be literal, and one that could be like a future tense, like prophecy. So what I'm saying to you is that some things might happen literally, but some might not. But with Jesus, you say Jesus didn't fit. He didn't meet up. But remember, there's a second coming, which a lot of people miss. The second coming is where he has to meet the rest of the criteria, where in Zechariah, it talks about us all flowing to Jerusalem. There'll be no more war. So then he will come back and judge. Now, I'm not.
That's all well and good.
Jesus.
That's all well and good, but not. No, I understand what you're saying. And what I'm saying is, did he die?
Yeah.
That's it.
But he's
That's
meant
it.
to die.
Dead. As are we all. Everything that lives dies. And once it dies, it no longer can affect in the way that when it was in a body.
Right.
Which means
I
that
see what you said.
if he died, that's it. We don't follow the dead. We simply
But
do
he
not.
was
We follow
raised.
their teachings. What's that?
He was raised.
Okay, so were two people, Elisha and Eliyahu. Both of them raised kids back from the dead, so to speak. And we don't worship them. You'd think that they would become this amazing thing, the boy who lived, huh? No, it just says it, and we keep going with the books of Kings because
Yeah,
we
but
don't
this is the
follow
point.
the dead.
He's not meant.
The
You're not meant
point?
to be stuck on him. He's not. He's the mediator. He's the door opener to God. So I'm saying to you, no, I agree with you. We shouldn't worship him, and no, we shouldn't. But you should understand that he's bringing us back to God.
I understand that if he lived, then he was a great rabbi, a great sage, a potential prophet and Messiah, and I probably would have followed him around Yerushalayim myself if he would have asked me to follow him. I never said anything but that. I liked some of the ideas written in the Gospel, but the rest of the New Testament, and I read it only once, it didn't speak to me at all because I saw how it veered away from Torah way
Which
too
one did you
much.
read? Which one?
Which New Testament?
Yeah. Which version?
I don't know. It was the Hebrew version.
Well, I would say to you, read the CJB. Well, no, not CJB, the complete Jewish one. Use the Orthodox Jewish Bible, the OJB, and it just clears things up and it makes it.
The Orthodox Jewish Bible has the New Testament in it?
Yeah.
That makes zero sense, but hold on a second.
Have a look on
I
Bible
will
Hub.
check it out.
I'm not lying.
Orthodox Jewish Bible? Give me a moment here.
It's called the OJB.
No, I didn't say you are. It simply surprises me. Torah Nevi'im, it's an English language version that applies Yiddish and Hasidic cultural expressions to the Messianic Bible. Indeed. Well, let's put it this way. Oh, where am I? I am here. Oh, am I gone? Am I here? I'm here. The reason why Jesus makes zero difference to me, and the reason why the prophets and the prophecies, sure, I can learn from them, but they make, let's say, not zero difference, but for all intents and purposes, zero difference. It's because I'm here now. I'm here now.
Right.
And those prophecies, they were collected, right? The different scrolls, they were collected. The only thing that we were commanded to write down and study is the Torah. The rest is things that the sages put together. Some books were kept, some books were left out, some prophecies were kept in, some prophecies left out, some prophets, most of the prophets were left out. A few stayed in because it had significance that they wanted to carry into the generations. So here I am, 2,000 years later or so, okay? And I need to live life. And the Torah is what it all comes down to, the 5 books of Moses. And so if it says choose life, I'm going to choose life, which means to me, practically speaking, if Jesus died, that's it. I'm not following him. He is just a dead man. And it could very well be that he will be resurrected with the rest of us when we partake of the fruit of the tree of life. But then that would be
so you don't
us,
believe he
all of
was
us
raised
together.
from the dead?
Okay, let's say that he was. So were those 2 others by Elisha and Eliyahu. I don't attribute any great significance to them.
Yeah, but did
They're
God
an anomaly, to be sure.
But God said through the clouds, "On this day I have begotten thee. You are my son, and I'm well pleased."
Well, I'm sorry, what?
God literally spoke through the clouds at Jesus' resurrection, is said, and he says, "On this day I've begotten thee," like Psalms 2:7. On this, like David,
Okay.
on this day I've begotten thee.
Yes, all well and good. I don't believe as a Hebrew man, I believe that there might be wisdom in the New Testament, but there is no faith. There is no faith for me in the New Testament. There's wisdom, perhaps, ways that the different parables are lovely, and certain things I can connect with in different areas in the books. What's that?
Teachings. I don't believe in a new Bible, but I believe you could. It's a remind. I believe it's a reminder, but people get like triggered, right? When I mention Jesus and Christianity, people get triggered. But it's the point of he's showing us at all times that we had everything. It's like the child that had everything in school. His parents are rich, right? He got everything, but yet he's so ungrateful for it, and just chucked it back in their dad's face.
Yes,
right,
like in Azino.
So my point is, right, we have been so arrogant and stubborn to not see what's in front of us, and that's the point he's trying to show us. Why would he even when us, and let's say our ancestors were shouting, kill the man, and it would have been mine and yours ancestors because we would have only been there at that point. So my point would have been that our ancestors would kill it, screaming, kill him, but Barabbas is our king, right? And he and at the cross he goes, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they have done. He still shows them love and compassion as he's dying. So there has to be something more than what we're seeing, if it's true. I'm playing devil's advocate here. I'm saying if it's true.
I understand, but let's put it this way. How should I put it? There is a line that I don't want to cross. And that line with something like Jesus, I don't even want to come near it, because I know that those who followed him, very quickly they went away from Torah, right? The religion, the churches, Christianity as it became. The gospel I can go along with, say. Did Jacob? Hang on. Jacob disappeared? All right, let's see. Where was I? Right. That's why it makes no difference to me. It's like, okay, oh, there he is again. Hang on a second. Yes.
I understand it makes no difference to you, right? I fully agree, but what if you're not saved? What if we have nothing? What if he is the only way?
What do you mean is?
What if he is the only way to get to God? What if he is who he claimed to be?
Let's put it this way. When Jesus tells people, do it through me and be like me, that's exactly what it is. It's like, look at him. He's a righteous man, an honest man, a pious man. He's got a great relationship with God. Let's find out how he did it. Let's be like him. Not let's make him a god. Right. Let us be like him. It's admiration. Right. It's imitation. And if he was indeed, as it says in the Talmud, the student of Rabbi Yehoshua ben Prachia, then I would expect nothing else from somebody who was the great pupil of a sage of the Talmud, of the Mishnah, rather. Sorry.
Yeah, but he's not in the Talmud. Jesus isn't, and that's not the same Jesus. Because remember, right? It doesn't say Yeshua. It says Yeshu.
It says Yeshu HaNotzri. It's not even. People claim it's him. It doesn't even matter to me if it is or was not. All I'm saying is that, let's put it this way. I read the New Testament, and I understood what he was saying in the Gospel. Right, being a Hebrew man, and I can understand some of the things he was saying there. And with the rest of it, I saw how it veered away. With the Talmud, the Mishnah, well, I don't think he's mentioned in the Mishnah, but in the Talmud, it doesn't matter to me whether or not it's actually him. There's no Hava Amina, right? I mean, there's no, sorry, I'm mixing up my Aramaic. There's no Tachlis. In other words, again, let's grant all of that and say that he was a great sage and a prophet, and he was dead, and then he rose on the third day miraculously. Okay. It makes no difference. He died? Cool. He rose? Cool. Is he supposed to symbolize something perhaps? Yes, that the fact that we will all day rise as well, together partaking of the fruit of the tree of life. That's real resurrection, not rising from the dead here. That's not resurrection. Resurrection is partaking of the fruit of the tree of life, hence the name, because death will be taken away from the world. Evil will be eradicated. We will go back to Eden, God willing, unified, under one banner, and finally complete our task. So I'm thinking in a much wider time frame, I think, at least in this particular conversation. You're getting into the, let's say, details, and God spoke from a cloud, and I'm saying it doesn't matter to me if he did speak or didn't speak. The fact is that because of people following Jesus, you could say they perverted the gospel, you could say they went in different ways, I don't know what, Christianity arose, and Jesus, according to them, is the root, and so I would stay away. That's why. Now, to say that you should never ever say Jesus or be triggered by Jesus or Christianity, to each his own. I'm not triggered by it. I simply see how it has absolutely nothing to do with the way the Hebrew man keeps Torah. It has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, but the problem is, and this is good, we're actually having a dialogue. We're not debating. This isn't a debate, so I'm not... Yeah, can you hear me? I'm not debating you, mind. This isn't a debate. We're just having a friendly conversation, right?
Sure.
Right. So Jesus went into synagogues. Now, remember, you could only go to a synagogue.
Wait, hang on a second. Wait, I can't hear you. Are you cut off?
Hello?
Now I can hear you.
Right. So...
Yes, I'm with you. Go on.
So he's got a point. Look, what about the followers of Moses, right? We followed people, right? We have followed people. We followed Moses through the wilderness as
yes, and he died.
Abraham.
He died.
Yeah, but we still follow
He died
Moses,
too.
Right? Yeah, but you're following Moses.
We follow their teachings. We don't follow them. We don't follow them. Listen, if you tell me the gospel, okay, being the life of Jesus, let's say, the gospel is something that's worth looking into and learning from, I would say, yeah, that sounds about right. If you're telling me, and it's also proof that he is God or the Son of God, the Lord and Savior, that he was the Alpha, the Omega, existed before creation, will exist after creation, and is God Almighty himself, King of Kings, Lord of Lords. No, none of that. None of it. That already is religion. It is. That's how I see it. And if we're talking about Messiahs, anointed ones, we don't follow dead kings, period. Israel never followed a dead king. A king died, another replaced him. There were even a couple of queens. They were not too good, other than Esther, but that wasn't in Israel.
David?
What's that? Yes, we follow the teachings. We read the Psalms. Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying
David is the personification. David.
I'm saying don't follow
what about
Jesus.
him?
Follow his teachings. Do exactly what we do with Moses with Jesus.
I've been told by Christians and people who are Messianics that I'm doing quite a lot of what Jesus was preaching to do.
Yeah, but do you preach Jesus' word? Or
know what I'm saying? And I got it from... No, I don't preach Jesus' word. I preach Torah and sometimes prophets and scrolls, primarily Torah, for a reason. And again, no, Sneezer, you can call it ironic, but I see what happened shortly after Jesus' life. And I see, and history is rivers of blood, right? And Christianity. And so I'm not at all interested in going down the path that leads to that. You know what I'm saying? Can you fault me? Can you blame me? And moreover, you people here who might be regulars or not, people that are actually Christians who follow Jesus, I agree with a lot of what they say. I agree with a ton of it, right? Love your neighbor, love your God. Those are the two most important things. I'm down with that.
But you don't agree on the foundations.
What's that?
You don't agree on the foundations. You don't believe the man died, rose on the third day, was resurrected, and is God's son through the Holy Spirit. You don't agree with that, right?
What was that?
You don't agree that Jesus was born through the Holy Spirit. He was resurrected and died on the third day. He was the Son of God.
Wait, you're cut out of it. I don't agree that it's something that I should base any kind of faith or religious notions or activities on. No, I don't.
Then
Now
how
again, you
do-
could
right,
say
so-
that that's because of where I grew up and how I grew up. Oh, wait a minute, Wait, hang on. Hang on. Okay. I just don't see Christianity aligning with Torah. And while I do see parts, a lot of the gospel aligning with Torah, I do. I really, really do. It's simply that is not a book that I will base any part of my faith on. And I can still say Yeshua, I can still say Jesus, and I agree that he could have been a great master, wonderful Messiah, a great king and a prophet and a sage, maybe even the greatest one since Moses, and he died, that's it.
Do you believe he was the king
And
of the
if
Jews?
the fact that I don't, no, I don't. I don't think that he was embraced. I think the Romans hung a sign on him to ridicule him. I don't
Well,
think
they
he was
anointed
king of the
him,
Jews.
right?
Who anointed him?
He was anointed at the baptism, right?
Is that anointing
Through
with oil?
Yochanan.
Because
No, through the water. Yochanan said there's one. Remember when
no,
Yochanan
water,
was baptizing
no.
people?
Kings were not baptized. The mikveh was something that was done all the time. Kings were either
Mikvahs,
anointed
yeah, but that was
if
for
they're
women, right?
no, that's for men and women
Yeah,
throughout
I
the entire
understand what
Torah.
mikvahs are. They're baths. They're exactly baptisms, right? But they were done on a regular basis, like consistently. But what I'm trying to say to you is there was one baptism, and like it says, like when Yochanan was doing it, he says there's one greater than I that will not baptize with water, but with the Holy Ghost, right?
Okay.
I am not worthy to tie his shoes, and then we see the change because again Jesus again it just makes sense he could have been who he is now. I don't know, but I'm just saying. But I'm
Wait,
saying to
once
you,
again, yes, you're saying?
like there, he is clear that there is some sort of, and we're perverting. If you take away all the Catholicism from it, Jesus looks like what he says he is. It's just it's there because
Yes, just a Hebrew man who was walking around in Israel and
no,
preaching and
son's
trying to get.
God's son.
We all have the potential to be that image of God. God has no son. I don't know God. Again, you
God
see what
says
I'm
we are his
saying here?
sons, right? Doesn't he say there
Yes.
for
God says. If God says, it means it's not God. It's a revelation of God, of speech, not God.
so it's not God saying if oh Jerusalem, if a mother can't forget her child, I will never forget you.
Where
Right?
is it
Is that
written?
not him?
Where is it written?
Isaiah.
Ergo, a prophecy by a prophet who has a
Yeah, but not all of his
connection with
prophecy,
Adonai.
right? Not. I understand this is just a soliloquy. I know Isaiah is a soliloquy, right?
What is the meaning of the word?
It's like a woman's perspective on how poetic writing, in the sense of like it's from a woman's perspective. Like it's hard to explain, but that's what it ultimately means. It's a perspective from a womanly point.
Okay, it could be masculine or feminine. It's a spirit of prophecy that has
Yeah,
come
but he doesn't
upon
say
the
a father,
prophet.
does he?
What do you mean?
He says how can a mother forget her child?
Yes,
He's always talking to us as children there.
Yes, yes. Again, this is all prophecy. It's all supposed to point you back to Torah. This is why I don't see any, people, I think, get really, really mixed up with prophets and with writings and the proverbs and the Psalms,
Right.
and they try, but this is all trying to bring us back to a very basic covenant between God and Israel, based on the 5 books of Moses. That's
What
what they are
covenant are we
all
in?
pointing to. What's that?
What covenant are we in?
There are several that Israel are part of. We are part of the
We're not
covenant
in
of
the
Abraham.
Abrahamic, are we? We're not in the Masoretic, Masonic. We're not in the. We're in the Davidic,
We are
right? Right
sons.
now.
What do you mean? No. I'm talking about the covenant of the assembly at Sinai. That's the primary covenant between God and Israel. The assembly at Sinai. That's what it comes back to. Am I making any sense, I suppose, to you, if to use that term, Jacob? Jacob, you there? I'm not sure if he's there, but can you hear me? Hey, Bono Dinosaur, you were here earlier, but the chat was erased, maybe because you arrived many hours ago. Either way, good to see you. Jacob is a missionary, says Law Divine. It could be, oh, so, wait. It could be that he's not a missionary. It could be that he is playing devil's advocate. Could very well be. Also, wait, hold on a second. Also, listen, I understand why people are so like infatuated and obsessed with the idea of Jesus, of Yeshua. I get it in the way that I can, in my experience. I really, really do. And I don't fault anybody, like I said, for wanting to immerse, oneself in these words and in these what they would consider a Bible and New Testament. But all Jesus is doing as well is pointing people back to the basics of Torah.
Right.
That's how I see it anyway.
But he's saying that I've not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it.
Okay, and
so what does that mean, fulfill it?
Precisely.
Because doesn't he say
It means that for him, if I'm reading it very, very simply and plainly, it means that I'm here to do what I'm here to fulfill the laws to the best of my ability.
Right.
This is how I fulfill my own personal covenant with Adonai, right? As a Hebrew, as somebody who's in this land trying to get close to God, worship God, receive the divine revelation. I'm not here to abolish things. I'm here to live them and carry them out. Now, his opinions differed from Chazal, from our sages in some things, sure, obviously, but that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's okay. I sometimes differ from their opinions as well.
Could we come corrupt?
And could we what?
Come corrupt.
Can we become corrupt? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Anybody can become corrupt. It's part of our nature.
Are we specifically prone to it?
You and I?
Yeah.
Who, human beings? Or you and I?
Jews. No, Jews. Hebrews.
I don't think they are any more prone than any other human being. The problem is that some take this chosen one's idea and they just run with it. And it makes for this Jewish supremacy thing that I personally don't agree with, because I'm of the opinion that you need to earn that name if you're going to claim it every single day. You need to earn that title of chosen one. And also, it's selected, not precisely chosen, but selected in order to be that rock in the pond that ripples out. Because again, I believe that the Hebrew faith is just one offshoot of a very ancient human thing. Before there were different religions, before different tongues, cultures, and nations, and faiths and ways, an Edenic covenant. It has to do with Shabbos. It has to do with the Nazarite-ship. I mean, that's where it ties in for me.
That's different.
And it's also,
I've never heard that.
What's that?
That's different. I've never heard that.
What, in the sense of, because, in Eden,
no, like Jews,
we had a job
we are, like, my nan and my tate, my dad, they were all proud. They were not arrogant, but they had a sense of pride, like, and they believed in what we know as Tanakh, right? They believed in all that, like, and he always taught me. He died when I was young, but he taught me, like, he showed me my name in the Tanakh, our last name, our family name, which is very special. Mm-hmm. It's very rare. Radai is very, very rare. So he made an emphasis that we were different, like, and we were meant to be different. He even said, don't marry. What's the best word? I don't like using the Hebrew term. Someone that's not Jewish, basically. Non-Jew,
okay.
Gentile.
A Gentile.
Right? Instead of a goy. Like, I don't like the term goy. It's a bit sketchy.
Sure.
So, like, he said that. So, like that's, we're meant to be that way. And clear, obviously, everyone could change and turn, but, like, that's what I believe was core. We're not like a superior race, but we are a chosen race by God. It's just pot luck, right? It's just pot luck.
No, God chose our ancestors, and on their merit, we can now carry on the covenant. right? Our ancestors, the patriarchs, the 12 tribes, way back when, that, if anything, was choosing. But it's up to us if we're going to claim it, to live it, to really, really embrace it. We're going to be using that. And by the way, again, because I grew up in Israel to parents who made Aliyah, and they grew up in a land of Goyim, as it were, right? Of the nations, the Gentiles. And growing up in Israel, it gives you a completely different mindset because you are surrounded by your brothers and sisters all the time. It's the land, right? It's the land of Israel. It's where we are. And so I have a very, very different view. I'm sure if I grew up in the diaspora, right, in exile, I would be possibly singing a very different tune. But I was very privileged to grow up in Jerusalem nearly all my life. And that does something to a person. And I'm not saying that you are wrong in the way that you're being devil's advocate, in the way that you are saying that there is something special about us. I understand why you're saying it. I understand what verses you're basing it on. I understand why that would be something that you would want to occupy your mind. It's somewhat necessary in exile. But here, we simply are. I don't feel any need or to be proud of my Jewishness. I'm simply here with my brothers and sisters in this land, and we're trying to, do our thing. And that's why the kind of
But you're not a
talk, again, is
self-hating
not.
Jew, are you?
No. I just think that pride goes before a fall, and that a high spirit before,
But in
before
what
you get very
sense?
low. What's that?
What's the fourth commandment?
Anochi Adonai lo yeh lo taseh, keep the Sabbath.
Is it? I thought that was the fifth.
No, the fifth is honor thy mother and thy father.
Right. Sorry, yeah, I got mixed up. Right. So it's honor thy mother and father. Now, how do we do that?
Again, are you talking halachically, or are you talking straight up reading the verse? What does it mean? Which one?
Like let's not use Talmud or nothing like that. Let's use our interpretation of how you honor your mother and father. How would you do that?
Okay. How would you do that? You grow up with this mother and father, you grow up in their household.
Right.
Listen to them, pay attention to them. In time, you will learn what pleases them and what displeases them and why. And it behooves you as a son or daughter to honor them in the way that let's put it this way, you learn how to honor them, specifically them, in their own idiosyncratic and very unique and personal way. Because the relationship between fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, right, parents and children, it can be the most amazing thing that has ever existed. Both parties need to be all in, but what you get is just unimaginable. And if the Torah says "Kabet et avicha ve'et imecha," honor thy mother and thy father, and it says "Ish imo ve'aviv tira'u," right? You must fear your mother and father. It's trying to tell you something about how you should orient yourself within your family, to have respect and to have that healthy fear. And it's in halacha there are very specific things that you do, right? But it's still, even then, it's simply examples. It's simply examples in halacha, and it's from the larger gestures to the everyday little things. And it changes, I suppose, from one household to the next, but it's something that can be learned by the children throughout life, and that depends on how the parents raise them. They raise them in those ways, right? And those who want respect, give respect. If there is respect going both ways, there will be no problem interpreting that verse. And what does it say? It says, life will be long. It doesn't mean that you will live a lot of years. It means that the quality of your life will be one of, just a length to it. It won't be punctuated with, there will be a breadth to it, something wide. You see what I'm saying? It can open your mind wider, give you a great perspective, because it's something that's so core, the biological connection between parents and children. And I'm speaking as a father as well, that it's something that is learned in each and every household. And the parents need to learn how to raise the children in such a way where the children will want to give respect, first, possibly because they don't know any better, and then because they know better.
Right. Well, My interpretation of it is, right, and this is just my literal, without using any Mishnah, Daf, Gemara, any of that. My interpretation is how you honor your mother and father is do what they do, right, or do what they tell you to do. So that'd be a Jew. So do the things they would do. Go to yeshiva, Chabad, synagogue. Do what you do to be a Jew, and that is honoring your parents, doing what they did before you, right? Walking in their footsteps, so to speak.
It's, I suppose that can be a type of honor, sure.
Right. So that's what I would take. So that's what I'm saying. The point is, it's not being prideful and arrogant. It's showing honor to my ancestors. Being a Jew, keeping the traditions alive, doing what I can, what I know I can do. I can't do everything. I'm not no brainiac. I'm not I'm just a simple man. But by doing what he wanted me to do and my mother wanted to do, that's inherently what we should do.
Okay, so you're saying that imitation of our parents is honoring them?
Right.
Okay. And, well, all right. So again, so once again, for each household, it's different. Exactly. I mean, it kind of coincides with what I said.
Right.
You know what?
I agree with you.
Almost been an hour. It's almost been an hour and a half, and I'm going to probably need to. Oh wait, what just happened here? Sorry, I zoomed in somehow. I don't know what's going on, but I zoomed in. Whatever, it'll fix itself. I do want to read Orot HaTshuvah. I haven't yet. I want to read it, and then we can continue the discussion for a bit. And live stream with StreamYard has a 20 hours a month limit. So I'm going to have to limit these to around an hour and a half or 2 hours, depending on how much I have left. So okay, let's read some Orot HaTshuvah. If it's and then we can continue at least for a bit. Okay, let's see. Chapter 12a says Rav Kook, Tshuvah, right, returning atonement. Tshuvah lifts a person above all the lowlinesses that are in the world, and with this he does not become a stranger to the world. Rather, he elevates the world and life along with him. Those same tendencies of sin, they are cleansed within him. The intense, limit-breaking desire which caused sin itself becomes a living force that makes great and sublime works for goodness and blessings. So he says it raises you up, but it raises the world with you. And so you don't become a stranger to the world. When Tshuvah really hits you, the world does not become a stranger. The world is elevated alongside you. And those very things which caused you to miss the mark, they will become a life force within you that will orient you towards the mark. You will be doing great things, great and sublime works. Continues Rav Kook and says, and greatness of life from the source of supreme holiness. It always surrounds Tshuvah and all those who carry its banner, who are selected and chosen of all life. Those who call for the correction of life, for the removal of obstacles, and a return to the good nature and true happiness, to the sublime supremacy that is truly free. All of this, he says, worthy of a person who ascends according to his spiritual origin and foundation as the image of God. So, right, Tshuvah being that greatest expression of what image of God is, lifts you up and it lifts the world along with you, changes you in some fundamental way. And those things which caused you, let's say, to miss the mark, to sin, transgress, they themselves will turn into what makes you be more of a positive force in the world. And he says that those who carry the banner of Tshuvah, he said that the selected and the chosen of all life. In Hebrew, he uses the word solet. Solet is fine flour that's been filtered many times. Tshuvah is like filtering yourself over and over and over and over and over, which is why selected and chosen, meaning not by God, you are selecting and choosing. You are making decisions, standing behind them, integrating them into your life, and making you into a new you. That phoenix-like process. And he says that all of this, right, and Tshuvah, and that sublime supremacy, said these amazing things, that higher path, which is within each and every one of our grasps. He says this is worthy of a person who ascends according to his spiritual origin and foundation as the image of God. That's Tshuvah. That's being who you are meant to be. That's understanding that there's a greatness here, that you are called to partake of. And for us, right, in the Hebrew faith, it's Torah and its commandments. It's holding to that covenant. One more short paragraph, and then I'll come back to the chat for a bit. 12b, Rav Kook, Orot HaTshuvah, published 100 years ago. Whatever a person deepens in the essence of tshuva, he will find in it the source of heroism and the more fundamental content for the practical and ideal life. So all of these ideas, these noble ideas of tshuva, if you deepen, if you really immerse yourself in that essence of tshuva and you're constantly in tshuva, you find that you can overcome things. It is a source of great heroism. I really agree with Rav Kook here. And he says the more fundamental content for the practical and ideal life. He's not saying leave it in the ether of the intellect or philosophy. Don't keep it in your mind. Let it shout it out in your life. Don't make any proclamations. No. Shout it out with your actions, with how you move in the world, with how you behave, how you speak. That practical and ideal life that he speaks of, this is what tshuva is. That's what we are returning to. We are returning to the most practical, the most ideal, insofar as each one of us conceptualizes it, right? What does it mean to be that image of God? And, right, he speaks in the paragraph before that, those who call for the correction of life, but they don't tell others what to do. They tell themselves what to do. They work on themselves. And I think that the individual, and that's where it starts, at the level of the individual, right? You're not primarily meant to rebuke and judge, and you're supposed to be working on yourself before anything. It doesn't mean ignore everything, but, be aware of your surroundings, but you carry the banner of tshuva. Try making something of yourself in this world. How about who you were meant to be? Wouldn't that be awesome? And that's tshuva. That's tshuva. And when Rosh Hashanah, Yom Hadin, the day of judgment, the day of Teruah, the day of the horn, when it comes around, on that day, it's not about tshuva. On that day, it's about crowning the king. And so after being part of this tshuva movement throughout the month of Elul, those who are more into it during Elul, it's known as a month of tshuva. People, make all kinds of resolutions and proclamations, and they adapt good habits and they leave bad habits, and they try to force themselves a little bit in some way. And then comes the day of judgment, Rosh Hashanah. And on the day of judgment, we are not judged. The day of judgment is when tshuva is not, there's no confession, there's no idea of great tshuva like on the Holiday of Atonement 10 days later. No, it's crowning the king. It's accepting, right, that sacred authority of kingship of Adonai, right? Melech, king. That's the revelation. And of harsh judgment and softer judgment, tshuva, heroism. When it grips you, and tshuva gripped me a long, long time ago, and I'm still in the process, of course. But well do I remember so many times when I was gripped by tshuva. When I could see in my mind's eye, and then practically how obstacles are being lifted out. Some remain, obviously. We all stumble, we all fall. But it's amazing to me, the power of tshuva, that intensity, that softness, the grace of it. It's such an amazing process. And this is what Torah orients us to. Okay. No, wait, I'm going to try and see what I did just now. I for some reason, I was zooming in. I don't know how I did this. Let me see if... Okay, let's try this. I don't know. Okay, I hope... I don't know what's going on. I don't know how that happened, but I zoomed in somehow because of this laptop that I usually don't use. I'm using it now.
Darn technology.
There you are, Jacob the Yehudi. You need carbon, not gold, says Bonu. Wow, what's going on in the chat? I haven't read any of the chat other than the things that I did here. Okay, wait, hang on a second. Let's see. All right, so you know what? A few more minutes and then I'll say goodbye. So listen, I understand that you were playing devil's advocate. It wasn't a debate. but I have a very different view because of, where I am and how I grew up, and because of I understand. And your view is a legitimate one. I dare say I would probably be more prone to your point of view. And it's simply something that I connect with less. But I do understand what you're saying and why you're saying it and how you're saying it. But to me, really, pride goes before a fall, and a high spirit before you get very low. Right? לפני שבר גאון ולפני כישלון גובה רוח. Yes. Before failure, a high spirit. The Torah says to me that it's thank God, that I grew up in Israel, and I didn't need to differentiate myself in any way. It was already part and parcel of living here. So I never had those type of outlooks and views, also because of my parents. I didn't have the same outlook, the same view. And I saw the way that because of growing up in Israel, it really, really does something to you. Truly, it does. But okay, let's go back to what you were saying, Jacob Lee. What is it you would like to say at this time?
I agree with what you just said. Like, you have a different view on it. Now, we're looking at it from two perspectives, right? You're looking at it from, and remember, you're struggling to take away the divinity from Jesus. That's what it is. You're struggling, so you don't want to go near it because there's divinity attributed to him, right? That's what I can see is evident, because you're saying, well, if there's anything divine about him, that's the bad route to go down, right?
No, it's not just that divinity is attributed to him, because we all have that breath of life. I'm willing even to go with that. But it's the fact that we see what Christianity did, what it was towards the Jews a lot throughout history. And I'm disinclined to pursue that path also because of that.
Yeah, but they were Catholics. They weren't Christians.
I see it as followers of Jesus, and that's a broad generalization, but that's the common thing between all of the Christian denominations. Following Jesus, they differ on how to do it, in what way, the mysteries of this, the Trinity of that, but they all concur, they all concede that Jesus was, the Messiah, the Anointed One, and Son of God, and that whole thing. So I take Christianity as such. And the fruit of that Christianity, at least until relatively recently, have been a lot of persecution, a lot of exile, a lot of death, rivers of blood all over Europe, everywhere. And in their attempt to convert the Jews and spread the good news, they made it so I wouldn't want to touch anything Jesus-like with a 100-foot pole. And yet, I did read the New Testament, and I do agree with some of the gospel. And like I said, and I'll say it again, I probably would have followed Jesus around myself. I dig him. I think he's a groovy guy who had a lot of funky things. No, I think he had a lot of good things to say. So it's everything that came because of that, let's say, that I'm saying, nope, I'm not even going to touch that.
Yeah. So, but the point is, right, do you know why they're like that with us?
Do I know why? It depends on who you ask. Depends on who you ask. Some say that only when the Jews convert to Christianity will Jesus come. And some say, no, it's because the Jews need to accept Jesus, and it's part of the, what is it? I mean, I know there are a couple of opinions why some Christians love us and some Christians hate us.
Right. Well, they hate us because they say we killed Jesus. Yeah.
Right.
Which you would be a bit angry if we did. Right?
Well, in the very same way that I'm angry, if you will, at Christianity for persecuting the Jews when it did and causing death, destruction, woe, and exile.
Right.
And I guess in the same way, yeah.
But the problem is we can't rebuke with revile, right? Doesn't it say that we should not revile with revile?
And I don't. I don't think I'm in any position to rebuke anyone ever, unless it's someone, let's say, face to face. I see them doing something concrete. I don't know what the scenario would have to be for me to step in and say something. And even then, I wouldn't cite God or the religion or the Bible. I would rebuke in a more face-to-face human, let's find some common ground and speak.
In a sense, you are rebuking because you're saying because of what they've done, you won't go near it, right? So technically, you are rebuking.
That's not a rebuke. I'm sure that they are righteous in their deeds according to them. It's not a rebuke. It's simply saying, I know a little bit of history, and I think that throughout history, the animosity between Christianity and Israel, between Esau and Jacob, as it's known, is great. And even though I think that there will be a unity and a coming together of the brothers eventually, I'm interested in the Torah, and Christianity goes against the Torah, and because of that, I don't want to touch it. And because of that, I won't even touch, not really, that which they claim is their covenant, their Bible. I don't attribute any kind of faith to it, like I said, or religion. Not for me. It's for others. It's not for me. Because I'm a Hebrew, I try to keep Torah. That's what it comes down to for me.
Well, Jesus told us to keep Torah.
Yes, he did. Like many of the sages of his time, they said, keep the Torah. There's an enemy at the gates. The temple will be destroyed. Be good people. Do good things. Worship Adonai. Keep the Torah. Which is?
Paul. The Apostle Paul was to the Gentiles. He wasn't to us. So when you're understand, because you don't obviously understand the New Testament as much as I do. There's 2 apostles, right? Well, there's 12, but there was an extra apostle. Now that apostle Paul was to the Gentiles because he was a Pharisee of Pharisees. So when he says we do not have to keep law, that's because he's talking to the Gentiles. He's not talking to us because Matthew, if you read Matthew, a bit of Romans, even Romans 9 makes it clear that it says, I shall not lie. Not one lie should I confess. In Jesus' name.
I mean, Jacob, let me tell you this. When the letter to the Hebrews presumably is meant for us, correct?
Well, they're talking to the Hebrews, not well, but they would have called. They would. Well, I don't know.
Wait, sorry. Like, did you continue?
General,
okay.
Like Sumerians, all of it. It would have been the whole region, right? To wherever they were.
No, all I'm saying is some people have said to me, yes, but the Christianity, that later part of the Bible is supposed to be for the nations. You, as a Jew, are simply supposed to continue doing what you're doing, but accept Jesus as your king, the Messiah, who rose and who will come again. But I don't follow dead kings. That goes against the Torah as well. That's really what it comes down to. So even though I say I would have followed him around Yerushalayim until he died, it really is that simple for me. He could have been awesome. He died. His reign is over. That's it. That's it. That's what it comes down to me.
We are topic anyway. Christian, good one.
Okay. You know what? At this juncture, I will say goodbye and adieu, and hopefully we can do this again on Wednesday. Until then, the comments will be open in about a minute. I need to do something technical there, and so in a minute, y'all want to continue in the comments. That will be great. I'll be up for a while, I think, a bit more, and I'll be able to go in and out of the comments. Thanks to people who joined. Thanks to all of you. God willing, I will see you on Wednesday. Wait a minute. Wait. Okay, I will see you on Wednesday, God willing. But I'm not sure how to end the stream in such a way where I will be able. Hang on a sec. While I look for the exit button, I guess I'll do it this way. So thank you for your time, your kind attention. God willing, we will do this again on Wednesday, 9 p.m. Jerusalem time. Another open panel. Should be nice. Should be fun. Jacob, feel free to come back on. We can continue talking. My views won't change, I don't think, ever. But many people say that I'm willfully blind and ignorant, and I'm inclined to agree. Who knows what will happen. Until then,
thanks for having me on.
Good night from Jerusalem.